All right, and what is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Fight Forecast. I am Ryan. My co-host is Dave. We're going to be breaking down some of the fights for you from a betting perspective for the upcoming UFC card, Waterson versus Hill. Um, the DFS stuff we're still doing on the DFI podcast, so make sure you jump on that as well. But this will give you a breakdown of some of our betting leans and stuff like that. So the first one that I kind of like, and you can let me know what you think about this, is the Mazo versus Kish fight. I personally I like this fight to go the distance. If you look at both of the fighters in their history, a lot of their fights do go to the distance. I do think that this is Mazo's fight to lose. She just throws more strikes. She's better everywhere, personally, I believe. So looking at the lines here, you have Mazo by decision at negative 130. I think that is a pretty good line to jump on. I mean, if you think for some reason that Kish could win, you can always go fight goes to decision as a parlay piece, but that's strictly a parlay piece, I think, because that's looking at around the negative 270 range. What do you think about this one?
Currently the line I think is a little too wide. I think it's probably should be closer to like a Mazo minus 160, minus 170, and Kish probably like a plus 130, 140 range. I think this fight's going to be very, very close. It's going to be a stand-up battle between the two of them. So I just personally think it's going to come down to who lands the harder in shots, because they both throw pretty good volume. I think Mazo's around 6 strikes, and I think Kish is around 5 strikes a minute.
Yeah, Mazo is 6.44, Kish is 4.28.
Yeah, so they throw some decent volume, and I just think it's gonna be Kish is always in competitive fights. She never really gets blown out. But like you said, like I think right now I think the line's a little too wide, just straight money wide, or what's called money line. Like you said, I think the minus 125 on Mazo is a pretty good bet to win by decision. And besides that, I don't see very many other bets unless you really want to go fight goes to decision, and use it as a parlay piece. But that's about it from this fight as far as a betting perspective.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. Let's see here. Next, we can go to Bobby Green versus Alan Patrick. I'll kick this one to you first. What do you have any bets that you like on this one? There's a couple that I kind of like.
I haven't looked at like a lot of the actually like prop bets and to a degree. Like minus 260 to plus 240 is still, again, I think it's just too wide on this fight. Bobby Green fights are always in close decisions. I like him to win this fight personally. I think he's going to do just enough to squeak it out. He looked actually very good in his last fight. But I'm trying to see what is Green wins by decision is plus 100. Not a bad bet. But the one thing that a sneaky little thing, every time Patrick's lost, he's lost by KO. I think he's lost, a handful of times. So getting Green by KO at plus 370, not a bad little sneaky bet if you want to throw a couple bucks on it. But besides that, I don't have very many other bets that I personally like for this fight.
Yeah, I kind of do agree with you on this one. I do think it. I lean Green. He lands 5.22 strikes per minute. While Patrick only eats around 2.39 strikes per minute, so he doesn't absorb a lot of strikes. I think that in a close fight, that is going to give Green the advantage. Patrick does go for a lot of takedowns, but Green does have a 73% takedown defense. So I'm not so worried about him landing too many of those takedowns to kind of negate Green striking. I was looking at the green by decision. That was one of the ones that I did like in this fight. It actually looks like it's gone down a little bit because when I was looking at it earlier the other day, it was negative 110. So it's even money now, green by decision. I do like that one for a unit, as well as, same as the first fight, the Kish fight. More than likely, I think this fight goes to the decision. Neither of them have very good power. I mean, like you said, Patrick has been knocked out a couple times, but I don't think Green's the type of fighter to be able to do that, honestly. So, fight goes to the decision, negative, I believe it was 230 last that I looked. That's not a bad one to throw into a parlay with that Kish fight. Get, pretty close to even money odds.
Yeah, because I was hoping to get the green by KO at like a plus like 500. I thought it would be even like somewhere in that range because he's not a super KO guy. So when I saw it at the plus 350 or whatever I said it was, I mean, it's still decent, but I would hopefully it goes up closer to fight time to throw a
Yeah,
little couple bucks on it.
yeah, absolutely. Throw a half a unit or something like that on that. Um, Next one that I like here is going to be a little bit surprising to some people. We got Julie Avila versus Sujera Eubanks. Um, I think Eubanks is worth throwing in a small bet on her winning by decision. If you look at most of her fights are pretty close. She throws a good amount of strikes. She lands a couple takedowns each fight. She's not someone that really gets blown out of the water in any of her fights. Um, Avila only has a 66% takedown defense. Eubanks lands 2 strikes per fight. Both fighters throw around 4.5 strikes per minute. Per minute. So, both of the fighters are really close. I think that this line, well, Avila definitely is the better fighter of the two, I would say. I think it's a little more wide than it should be for how close Eubanks fights always are. So her by decision, when I looked at it earlier, it was plus 440. Um, that's something that I think that you maybe throw a little bit of money on, or that the fight goes to the decision, because almost all of her fights, just like some of the other ones that we've talked about, almost all of her fights go to decision. I think that this is going to be a slate where you're going to see a lot of fights go to decision, honestly. Um, so fight goes to the decision, negative 175. That seems like pretty good odds to me as well. What do you think about this one?
I mean, I like Avila a lot in this fight. I just think her pressure, her pace will eventually wear on Eubanks. Eubanks has usually got a round in her, and then after that, she just keeps declining. Like second round, she'll do okay, but then the third round, she usually is gassed if she makes it that far. And this is a fight. I think if you want to bet Avila, you do a live bet starting the second round because you might lose the first round of Eubanks. Eubanks will come out strong, but then second and third round, I think Avila is going to come and and she's going to ultimately win those two in a decision. And so if right now Avila is a minus 280. So if she loses that first round, she might even become a plus favorite or a minus like 110, 115. And that's where you want to hit that bet. So that's something you just kind of, to me personally, I think for this fight, you just want to wait, live bet this one, or take Eubanks, do a little bit pre-fight, and then see how the fight goes. And if Avila looks good at the end of the first round, then bet Avila, for live bet her and then get better odds. But that's what I would think for this fight overall.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think that it's going to be a very popular play, Eubanks. I just think all of her fights are pretty close from what I've seen.
Yeah.
She's always one of those kind of live dog type plays.
The one sneaky thing, I mean, I didn't look. Let me see what the prop is right now. Avila has some like sneaky power. Like when she hits people, you see their face panic. So plus 340 by KO is. I just feel like it should be higher than that still because it's women's fight and they don't really knock each other out. But I think that's another one you might want to throw a little sprinkle on, is that the KO prop.
Yeah. Next one, I'll kick to you. We got Rodriguez versus Herman. You like anything in this one?
This is another one kind of like the last fight. I think it's a good live betting situation. I mean, Herman's a tough dude. He's only been knocked out I think twice in his career, and they were by pretty good guys. Um, and I think and the problem with Mike is he gasses. His cardio's not the greatest, and after the first and going to second, it usually dies down pretty quickly. And that's where Herman usually has got a pretty decent cardio, and he's got pretty good ground game. He's a black belt, I believe. So I think he could ultimately take over this fight late. So I think this is another one you kind of wait and see, and you live bet possibly Herman, and you can even get him at a higher plus odds. You might be able to get him at like a plus 250 to 300, and to see how it goes. If not, I mean, I don't know. Let me look at the props. I mean, if Rodriguez wins, I still don't see him winning inside the distance. So probably, I would say Rodriguez by decision, if anything. Let me see what that is. That is plus 420. That's something I'd probably sprinkle on. Possibly, he might just be able to hold out, win the first two, and hold on for the third. Because I just don't think Herman's going to get knocked out.
See, I question Herman's chin a little bit. He's got knocked out in 2 of his last 4 fights. He's getting up there in age. Granted, yeah, he like you said, he's only been knocked out a couple times, but still, 2 out of the last 4 guys like 39 years old. Eventually, those are things that catch up to you. I do like Rodriguez this fight if he can keep it on the feet. Herman goes for a lot of takedowns, and neither fighter is very good with takedown defense. That is the one thing that does worry me a little bit about Rodriguez. I'd probably put Rodriguez straight up 250 in maybe like a 2-fight parlay. I wouldn't go too crazy with it, but I do think that he has the most paths to victory as long as he can keep the fight standing. If he keeps the fight standing, I honestly I wouldn't at all be surprised if he knocks out Herman. I don't think his chin is there anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I mean Herman is just one of those things where he's just kind of a grindy vet, and he's smart enough to know what he's good at and what he's not. But like you said, the one thing I have to like kind of somewhat correct you on about Herman, I looked at it, or I have to give this stat to Cody Saftik from the Dog and Pass podcast. He looked into his takedowns. Herman has had 1 takedown since I think 2000. I think it was like 2017. He's only had 2 takedowns in a fight, I think, since 2007. It's like he doesn't take down his guys as much as you think he does.
Yeah, because if you look at his stats, it says that he averages 2.2 takedowns per fight.
Yeah, but that must be super early on in his career. He must have, because and if you look at most of his fights, he doesn't lay on takedowns. But yeah, I don't know. I just think for the most part, it's going to be a stand-up battle. If anything, Herman will get him down late, and that's when Herman might get a submission victory. But for the most part, this is going to be a stand and trade where Herman's just going to wait to throw that one punch, and Mike's going to put some pressure on him early in the first round, and then hopefully hang on or get that knockout. But
fair enough.
I mean, I think that personally, it's a good bet to either live bet later for Herman or do Mike Rodriguez by. I think that plus 420 on decision is not a bad price.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, personally, like I said, I think that they'll win by knockout. But if you think that Herman's chin is good enough and that it will be a stand-up fight, I think that does lead more so to Rodriguez than it does Herman if the fight stays standing. So next fight we got here. First off, let me just say I hate this first fighter. I'm just putting that out there again. We got Roxanne Modafferi versus Andre Lee. Now, for those of you that don't know, Roxanne is the bane of my existence because she ruined a very nice parlay for me back in the day with Conor McGregor and Barber. So I will always root against her, no matter what.
Tried warning you on that one.
You did. Everyone did, yes. But, at the end of the day, this fight is going to go to the decision. If you look at most of her fights, you look at most of Lee's fights, they either win by decision or they lose by decision. I think it's more than half of their fights combined have gone to decision. Um, so I just, this fight's going to go to decision, honestly. Um, I like Lee a lot in this fight, and I'm not just saying that because I don't like Roxanne. I think Lee is the better fighter. She lands 5.40 strikes per minute. Um, both fighters absorb 4 strikes per minute. Roxanne almost 5 strikes per minute. Lee, uh, you know, gets pretty good takedowns. So I think that Lee has more paths to victory when it comes to this fight, and so for that reason, I do like Lee by decision, -140. I think that is a very good bet. If for some reason you do like Roxanne, I think that this is one that you can safely throw in a parlay as the fight goes the distance, and feel pretty comfortable about that. When I checked before, it was -385, so it is up there, but it's up there for a reason. You know, the likelihood that this fight ends in a finish is pretty slim. So I think that you can feel pretty confident putting that into a parlay, which is, I think, going to be the route, honestly, to go for most bets this card. I think that this is a card that you more so parlay 2 or 3 fights. This isn't really a card that you're going to have many straight plays, honestly, in my opinion. What do you think about this fight?
I mean, Roxanne Modafferi, I just seem like I can never pick her fights right. It seems like every time I think she's going to do well, she shits the bed, or when I think she's going to, it's just always the opposite. And this is one fight, like, I kind of feel like you, like Andrea Lee, these two have fought previously. They fought way back in the day, but that's when Andrea Lee was very green. And that's when Roxy's a veteran. She's been a veteran since like age like 25. She had like 30 fights by the age of like 25. So she was just more experienced at that point. But Lee's improved. She's now out training with, I think, Aspen Ladd, and I think some of the what's her name? I can't think of her name off the top of my head. But she moved out of Louisiana finally. She seems to be happy now that she's finally gotten away from her husband who was beating her and all that. And I think that's the last couple of fights you kind of saw that stuff was kind of bothering her to a degree during her fights. It wasn't the same. And I think, she's going to come in more focused in this fight. And I think she should, like you said, probably get a decision victory. I mean, Lee by decision is -155. I think if you're going to bet the fight, that's the way you want to go. But at the same time, too, knowing my luck, Roxy's going to win, and plus 265 on Roxy is something you probably want to throw a little unit on. If you're not really have one conviction one way or another, for betting, I think +265 on Roxy, might as well throw a little bit on it. It's not a bad, I think the odds are a little too far, and it's not a bad bet in general, but I still prefer Lee to win. I know some other colleagues of ours are higher on Roxy,
Yeah.
but I still believe that I think Lee's just going to be better on the feet. She's going to throw more volume. Roxy is the most unathletic person in the world. She wins most of her fights usually by will or by her technique, but not by athleticism, because she has no athleticism. My pinky has more than that. But yeah, so I mean, for the most part, I'm just probably sticking away from this fight from a betting perspective.
Fair enough. So you don't even like the at all fight goes to decision in a parlay?
I mean, I'm at -400. That's what it currently is right now. I don't mind it, but I usually try not to. I don't know. It's just not my type of betting. I don't know. I usually don't bet fight goes to decisions and stuff like that unless I feel uber strong. But like, if Roxy gets this fight to the ground, which is where she's only chance she has to win, she could win by submission. I mean, Lee has been submitted before, and that's what I fear. So that's the only reason that would kind of somewhat scare me off of it. But I don't mind it for a parlay. But in general, I'm just probably not betting this fight at all.
Fair enough. Next one we got Alexander Romanov versus Rocky Martinez. I'll kick this one to you because I know that you are very high on one of these two fighters, as am I. Do you
Right.
see any bets for this fight?
I mean, right now the only bet they have, at least according to best fight odds, is Romanov is minus 320 and Martinez is plus 290. I like Alexander Romanov a lot in this fight. If you looked at it at weigh-ins, he is so much taller and bigger. I mean, they're both big the guys that came towards the heavyweight limit, but Alexander just looks so big, and he's a wrestling guy. I mean, you think with his height and his size, he would be more of just a stand and bang type of guy, but that's not his opponent. Martinez, the short little pudgy guy, is the one who stands and bangs. And I mean, I've seen, Martinez in one fight when he got taken down, he didn't know what to do. He was honestly lost, and I just didn't like what I saw from Martinez. And I think as long as, Alexander can avoid that potential one big bomb, I think he's going to take him down and he's going to ground and pound him. And possibly even get a submission. I mean, there's no props out, but I would look to do like Romanov wins inside round one, or just wins inside the distance. But we don't have those odds out. But those are something I would look to do for the bets in this. I think you might want to do either bet wins in round one, maybe round two. But I just think it's going to end early, and it's a great fight to target for inside the distance.
Yeah, I like Romanov a lot. I've been on him for a while now, ever since he first was supposed to fight in the UFC a couple months back, and then it was supposed to fight the past card. Finally gets onto this card. I think he just has all the makings to be a stud, honestly. Martinez, I watched a couple of his fights before the podcast, and I mean, I think I'm in better shape than that guy. Like,
he's just round.
Yeah, like, but honestly, the fights that I did watch, he didn't look too bad on the ground. Now, like I said, I watched his last two fights, and he didn't look horrible. He looked like he could prevent the takedown. So I think that the fight more than likely will end in a finish, but I think it'll more than likely happen in round two.
It'd be interesting if they were the opposite size. Like if Martinez was like the tall guy and Romanov was the short guy, it would be over very quickly because he would be able to get under him so easily to take him down. Where it might be a little difficult for Romanov to get him down right away because he's so short.
Right.
He's going to have to probably do more trips and throws to get him down versus just a normal double leg or a single leg takedown.
Right, and that could be one of the reasons why his takedown defense didn't look too bad. It's just that his center of gravity is he's a hard guy to take down based on being short and kind of wide. I like Romanov a lot. I think that you can safely put him in a parlay. I don't honestly see how he loses this fight. So yeah, I think that having him in a parlay definitely you can safely do. I know we're harping on parlays a lot, but like I said, I think that this is a parlay card, honestly. Inside the distance I like as well once those props come out. So, and then the last fight that actually that would be the last fight based on what I see here.
I got two fights that I think I would straight bets that I kind of like.
What do you like?
I like Ottman Zatar at plus. Right now he's plus 115. I mean, where they usually struggles with are guys that can kind of pressure him who have power, and those are the guys who typically have knocked him out. And that's what Ottman is good for. He pressures you and he throws bombs. And Worthy doesn't have a very good chin. I know since he's moved up a weight class, his chin seems to have be holding better. But I think for his price, it might as well throw a stab at it. And I think it's going to be. I think he's going to probably upset. He's probably going to get the upset. I think, but I would probably either just take him at plus 115 or possibly what's the odds on him for Azatar by KO TKO plus 210.
Yeah.
I think you might want to go that route, but I think even at minus 115 or plus 115 is still not bad. I like him as just a straight bet.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the juice isn't there well enough in my opinion. If it was a little bit higher, plus 250, plus 300, I'd probably go the KO route. But only being plus 10, I personally don't think that it's worth it to add that extra juice just in case he wins by decision or something like that. I don't see that happening, but I do like him in this fight. I do worry a little bit that Worthy, like you said, since he's gone up in weight class, he hasn't been knocked out in a very long time. But his 5 losses are all via knockout, and this guy he does throw bombs. Absolutely, he's a knockout artist. I think he has 9 wins by knockout or something like that. So he definitely, I definitely do like him. I don't know if I feel confident enough to bet him, though, just due to the fact that Worthy's chin has looked a lot better since moving up in weight class. And I think that is, if Worthy is going to lose, it's going to be via knockout.
And I know another fight that I like just straight up that I know we're kind of on opposite sides on. I like Angela Hill minus 120. I think this is her fight all day. Waterson typically, for her to be successful, she doesn't throw much volume. I think she throws like almost 3 strikes a minute, not even, and she absorbs more strikes than she throws. And for Waterson to win, she needs to get Angela Hill down. And if you've seen Angela Hill the last few fights, look at her against Claudia D'Elia. She got taken down, but she was able to get back up. She was able to defend herself. And Claudia is a way better grappler, and wrestler than Waterson is. Waterson, when she gets takedowns, it's usually by a head and arm throw. That's how she gets her opponents down. And I think Angela Hill was, smart enough, trains more, has been more active, and will know how to defend that throw. And on the feet, I think Hill is just going to, probably piece Waterson apart. Her volume's better, her cardio's better, and I think Waterson. Not that she's been laid off for that long, but Hill has literally fought 5 times, or I think this will be her 6th fight or 5th fight in the last year, where Waterson, I think, has only fought once or twice. And I think that, the more you fight, the more you improve, especially when you're not taking much damage. And like her, she should have won the last fight against Claudia. I honestly, and as much as I had Claudia and all my DraftKings lineups and other stuff, I honestly thought Hill won. So, I think Hill at minus 120 is a great bet. Probably even better if you want to get some better odds. I think Hill plus, or by decision, I think was plus us. What was it? I think it was plus 120. So might as well even just go that route if you want to get some better odds, because that's how Hill's going to win, is by decision.
Yeah, I think that this fight definitely goes to the decision. I personally, I don't feel comfortable enough betting Waterson. I don't like her that much. I do lean her a little bit, though. I think that she'll be able to land a couple takedowns. Also, it does worry me that this is Hill's first 5-round fight. Waterson has been in many 5-round fights. So, Hill is known for her cardio, her fast pace. She goes through 3 rounds. I'm concerned that, come the 4th round, that she's going to slow down a lot. And if that does happen, if Waterson can somehow steal one of those first 3 rounds, I think Waterson could easily win the last 2 rounds. Waterson lands 3.31 strikes per minute. She absorbs about 3.79, so about equal. Same thing with Hill. She lands about 5.5 strikes per minute. She absorbs about 5.5 strikes per minute. So I think that if you're going to bet this fight, you bet it to go the distance. If you have a conviction one way or the other, Waterson or Hill, you take that profit going the distance to get a little bit of odds. Personally, if I was going to bet this fight, I'd just bet it straight up. Fight goes to the distance. I believe it's like negative 270. because honestly, I don't really see that either of these fighters get the finish. If anyone does, it's Hill, but I personally I don't see that.
Yeah, I mean the other one would be in that same fight if you do like the Waterson side to throw a little sprinkle on the by submission. It's plus 450. Hill, when she is taken down, I mean she's improved, but I believe she's been submitted a few times, and she's not usually the best when she's on her back. She got armbarred by Marcos, and I thought she got then she got rear naked choked by Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza. So she's been
Yeah,
submitted
she lost.
and that's where Waterson is pretty good at, is her submission game. So, if you want to take a little sprinkle at, if you think Waterson's going to win the fight, throw a little sprinkle on plus 450, because that's probably the way I think Waterson wins, is going to be to getting her down and probably submitting Hill.
Yeah, I mean, she has lost twice by submission, like you said, against Rose. That was all the way back in 2015, though, so 5 years ago. And then Marcos.
That was this last year.
Yeah, just last year. About a year.
And Marcos is not a submission artist either.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think that she doesn't lose via submission, but that's just me. I mean, I honestly, I probably, like I said, I probably wouldn't bet this fight either way. If I did, it would be via decision.
But after that, I don't think I have much other bets that I'm looking to besides, just parlaying some fights here and there, but nothing I feel super strong with.
Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of the parlays I have been between Contender Series, Phil Davis, who's fighting for Bellator, and then I throw like one of these other, fighters. I have Avila and want to parlay with that, and just a couple other big favorites. I just kind of sprinkled those throughout.
Yeah, I think, like I've been saying this entire time, this is definitely a card that you throw a couple parlays at. It's just it's not one of those cards that the fights that are small enough odds, you don't really feel comfortable enough betting straight up, and the other ones are just so big it's not worth throwing it in a straight up bet. The only other fight that I haven't seen odds on yet, but that I would be interested in throwing in a parlay if they do put up odds, is the Roosevelt Roberts fight.
Yeah, I mean that's the only one I haven't really seen. I haven't seen much yet. I still got to tape his opponent. I haven't had a chance to watch that, and I don't think he's even gotten priced on DraftKings yet either. Even though we haven't.
Yeah, no, that he did get priced actually.
Did he get priced?
Yeah, he got priced earlier, 6,700.
Either way, I think Roberts wins that all day.
I think Roberts kills him, and so I mean that would be one if odds do come out that I'd look into. Either adding to a parlay or depending on what the prop bets are, maybe doing a prop bet or something like that.
I was just looking on Tapology really quick, and if you look at like the little thumbnail picture of Kevin Crom, it looks like he has a short stub as an arm because it cuts it off like here. He cuts it off like here in the picture, and it looks like he's like what's his face, the guy who does actually have a stub arm. He's from Connecticut, and he fights now in Bellator. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but his picture looks like it. He's got a nub for an arm. So if you get a chance, look at Tapology and just look at the little thumbnail when you look at if you go to see the whole fight card for Vegas 10, and you'll see it. It just looks like a nub.
Well, that is all, guys, for the fight forecast. If you're looking for DraftKings information, FanDuel information, any DFS information at all, definitely jump on to Daily Fantasy Insider. That is where we're going to be doing our DraftKings podcast weekly. We do war rooms, break down all the fights, all the information every week. And they have information on every sport as well, not just MMA. So definitely check that out. And you still have a free code, right, for a free month?
Yep. So right now, especially with football just starting this weekend, if you use the promo code DAVEFRIEND, DAVEFRIEND, you'll get 30 days. If you make sure you do the 30-day all access read only option, and you get 30 days to check out all the different sports we have: football, NBA, MLB, MMA, golf, NASCAR. I don't even know what other sports are going on. I think tennis.
Yeah, you name it, they got it basically.
Yeah, they got it. And, all the guys there who work there are awesome guys. Once you sub and you are, if you have general questions outside of DFS, you can DM them on Twitter. Everybody's very friendly, very willing to answer your questions. And it's a great community to belong to. Again, the promo code is DAVEFRIEND, DAVEFRIEND, DAVEFRIEND.
So there you go, guys. Definitely check that out, especially like Dave said, with football season starting up Sunday. You got the Millie tournaments coming every single week. That's some information that can definitely get you that big money. So check that out. And let's get that money, guys.